everyone. Welcome to the second part of my series on Saturn transit. In this edition, I am going to go into great depth to help you to understand Sade Sati itself. So on this video, everybody, I hope to allay some of your fears because even the mention of the word Sade Sati makes us fearful. Is Sade Sati only from your moon? I will answer the question. What about the three phases of Sade Sati? 12th, 1st and 2nd house. What are the differences? What about your sign itself, your moon sign? There are some differences according to sign. And also, in your life, you have distinct Sade Satis, early in life, later in life. And finally, how to prepare for Sade Sati, how to deal with the fear, and most of all, how to make the most of Sade Sati. If you are new to my channel, sub below, and let's begin to explore this very important topic. So we're concerned with Saturn Gochar when we are concerned with Sade Sati, just the one part of it, Saturn 12th, 1st and 2nd to our moon. Check on my channel for the first part of this series because in that video I explained to you a little bit more about Saturn Gochar. Don't forget, Saturn 4th from the moon and 8th from the moon is equally troublesome for us in some respects as a challenging Saturn dire period. But there are special times, Saturn 3rd, 6th and 11th from the moon, when Saturn gives us special fortune. As I say, check out that video, part 1 of this series. But look everybody, Chandra Sade Sati is only one sort of Sade Sati. We must not forget that Saturn is continually transiting our chart and therefore we cannot just be focusing on the moon lagna only. So yes, everyone, there are three Sade Satis that can be seen from your birth chart. Chandra lagna or moon Sade Sati on this video. The ascendant or D1 lagna Sade Sati. When Saturn is in the 12th, 1st and 2nd to your rising sign, that is another sort of Sade Sati. And indeed, Surya Sade Sati, so forgotten in our Vedic system. The 12th, 1st and 2nd to your sun is another Sade Sati. What's happening is that in the Vedic system, we have emphasized the moon chart and the rising sign, forgotten about Suryaji. How could we do this? So, in the Western system, they have taken on board the sun in a big way. All of the predictions are very often solar-based, but they have forgotten about the moon. So we need to be holistic, everyone. We need to take into account all of these Sade Satis. So how do we experience these Sade Satis differently? There is a very clear distinction. The moon Sade Sati, the main one, the one we're talking about on this video, affects our attachments, our desires, our happiness on this earth. It's our mother. It's how we feel secure. It's our body also and our health. Why? Because our body is formed in the womb of our mother. So that's why it's our health. Lagna, however, is not so much health and body as you might think. It can affect our appearance, but it's really about our life direction. From the moment you were born, that rising degree starts off your life path. You're walking down a path, aren't you, from that moment. So when Lord Shani comes, 12th, 1st and 2nd to your rising sign, you can expect a change in life direction. It's like a crossroads. Surya Lagna. The sun is our purpose. So Saturn, 12th, 1st and 2nd to your sun will give you a new life purpose. However, there is yet another Sade Sati. So deep, so important, it must never be forgotten. Can you guess? Yes, of course, it's the D9 chart. The moon in your D9, your Navamsa, is going to give you a very crucial Sade Sati. 12th, 1st and 2nd to that D9 moon is destiny changing. This was confirmed by Pandit Sanjay Rath, who recently said, yes, the D9 Navamsa Sade Sati is so impactful. So I hope this insight into exactly what is Sade Sati has been helpful to you because when we gain the larger perspective, it cuts down our fear. I find that when I realize for how much of my life Sade Sati is impacting me, it doesn't become such a big thing. For example, for myself, My D9 Navamsa Sade Sati runs into my D1 Sade Sati at the end, and then at the end of that I run into my Lagna Sade Sati. It's non-stop. It's been hugely transformational, that's for sure. Let's now move on to look more deeply into the purpose of Sade Sati. Let's understand then Saturn's purpose. This is so important. Without understanding the purpose of Lord Shani, we cannot understand Sade Sati transit. Saturn's 7.5 year period has two purposes. One is material and one is spiritual. The moon, you see, is our material desire, why we have taken birth. It's our attachment to taking birth, to being in this material realm. It's all the things we cling to. It's mother, home, country. It's material enjoyment. It's intimacy. It's safety, security. The moon is all the things that we think we need in this material world. And actually, the moon is our material happiness. So when Lord Shani of limitation, hard work, and karmas has come to our moon, we get fearful. But what's really happening, everybody, materially, is that Lord Shani will perfect our material life by putting blinkers on us. We will be so focused on one goal materially that we will forget about all the other distractions in our life, people or situations. They will fade away, and we will become focused, responsible, and so dutiful by the complete blinkered focus that Lord Shani will force on our mind, because moon is mind. He will force that onto us, that we will actually find that by the end of Sade Sati, our life is much cleaner, much simpler, and actually we are starting to build the real things that give us material happiness and material success. For some of us, it is during Sade Sati that we get our most peak material success and status. We only have to look at President Donald Trump, who is in his Sade Sati. He's dealing with so much stuff, but goodness me, is this his purpose, his peak purpose in life? Looks like the President of India, twice elected in Sade Sati. Indira Gandhi, President in Sade Sati. Who can I think of? Oh yes, Nigel Farage. Brexit happened for him during his Sade Sati. He wanted it, he got it. So let's be very clear. Saturn is going to focus you and is going to give you, for some of us, great material prominence, but also responsibility in Sade Sati. So Saturn's first purpose is material, but the other purpose of Saturn is spiritual. We have to understand it too, or we cannot understand what's happening to us. So Saturn's spiritual purpose is to remove the veil of Maya. Now don't switch off at this point, because this explains how important Sade Sati is to us long term. The moon represents Maya Dive, represents the Maya of the material world, that we are living in an illusion, that this is a dream of Lord Vishnu ultimately. So everything we are clinging on to is of no use to us long term. Okay, so the moon is representing that Maya, and Saturn's purpose is to take away the veil of Maya. So this is why people become depressed in Sade Sati, because they're having to make so much effort for so little reward, because Saturn is challenging our attachments. Maybe we experience loss in Sade Sati, but only that for which has no purpose in our karmas anymore. So Saturn is removing the veil of Maya and making us see the material world in a different way. Yes, he can give us success in a certain way, but at the same time he is giving us that, he is removing the Maya of attachment. So this is quite tough, but Saturn is our greatest friend here, because unless that Maya is removed, we are going to go down karmically because we've misused our human life. I'll talk a bit more about this in a minute. So Saturn is our friend by removing Maya and illusion of material world. So in this way, We should be praising Lord Shani for his glorious transit here to our mind, to our self, to our desires, because he is perfecting our purpose on this earth. So everyone, I hope that was a useful analysis for you on Saturn's actual purpose, so important to understand. Next, I'm going to go into some detail with this perspective in mind to talk about what can we expect to happen to us during Sade Sati and how to deal with these events. And actually, as I talk through these factors, I'll be also talking about how we can prepare for Sade Sati. So with that perspective in mind, everybody, what major effect is Sade Sati going to have? There are 5 main things that will always happen to all of us in some respect in Sade Sati. I've talked about the focus of the mind, so I won't go back on that. We're going to pay karmic dues, but look, the joy of Sade Sati is, and this is why we can prepare so well for it, is that we pay the dues of this life. And we can often see exactly why, if we look back on what we've been doing prior to Sade Sati, we are experiencing this difficulty. So preparing for Sade Sati is all about calming down the karmas, literally. It's about doing the right actions as much as we can. So the karmic dues we pay are very clearly those that we could expect we would have. So you see, Saturn is kind to us. It's in Saturn Mahadasha and all the other Mahadashas that we often get our past life karmas, okay, of which we know nothing. But when we can see Saturn clearly giving us the karmic impact of what we have done, and we all know, don't we, when we've done stuff that we shouldn't have done, then if we see that clearly, if we grow, I must not do that again, we ask forgiveness, then all of the difficulties of Sade Sati calm down. So we pay our karmic dues from this life. I've seen this in Sade Sati. It's not our past life. So when things are happening to you in Sade Sati, think carefully. Is there anything that I could have done to have caused this to happen to me? Takes a bit of introspection, not coming hard on yourself, but just taking responsibility for certain things. Now, Saturn will also make us work without immediate reward. That's why Sade Sati seems heavy. Everything is requiring responsibility and hard work. And everything you do, it's like 1 step forward, 2 steps back. You're trying to move on, but you're absolutely facing a brick wall. Keep on going. If you do your duty in Sade Sati, work without expectation of immediate reward, long term, you will find the success. Saturn wants you to put your nose to the grindstone, to work in a dutiful, responsible way. So, if you're thinking of cheating on your spouse in Sade Sati, my goodness, it's going to come down. If you're a criminal by nature, I don't know whether you are, but hopefully not. But if you were, my goodness, it's not a time in Sade Sati to get away with those terrible deeds. They're going to come to you. They're going to be at you like that in Sade Sati. If you're trying to just shirk a little bit of responsibility in your work, you're not a criminal, but you're just taking it a bit easy, Saturn's going to come heavy in Sade Sati. So wherever we're not doing our duty, wherever we're not just being patient, the worst enemies in Sade Sati are impatience and anger. I've seen this also. Whenever we are angry, impatient, and try to push through things, we're not kind to ourselves or to other people, Saturn's going to come down on us immediately with a harsh payback. We will pay a karmic due. So patience and being very dutiful. These sound boring things, but they're what is going to keep us safe in Sade Sati. So this is why there is a reputation for certain zodiac signs, moon signs, ascendant signs doing better in Sade Sati, but it's incorrect. Capricorn, Aquarius, Libra have good qualities like tolerance, hard work, and duty. And because they have those qualities, they are able to cope a little bit better sometimes, but it doesn't mean they're going to have an easier time. We can all develop those good qualities because they're what Saturn wants us to develop. Finally, Lord Shani will remove attachments, and people get fearful of, we shouldn't be fearful. I've had people die outside, very, very close family members die outside of any Sade Sati time, as well as in Sade Sati. So people, as I say, are going to leave our life when they are going to leave our life, and let's not be fearful. But Saturn will remove undue attachments that are not serving us, like friendships, relationships, which are not good for us. But mostly, though, he absolutely wants to keep people in our life so that we serve them and are dutiful also. So it's a very fine line here. You will see how it is going to go, because ultimately Shani is going to remove everything that does not serve our karmas long term for our good. And also, he doesn't want us to waste our time on unnecessary attachments that are not beneficial to us. So, with that in mind, let's move on to consider in some detail the 3 phases of Sade Sati. So, the first phase of Sade Sati, what's going to happen? When Saturn enters the 12th house behind your moon for 2.5 years. This information is for every moon sign. It's very specific for everybody. At the end of the video, I will go into every moon sign, but I'm only going to tweak a little bit. This is the main information, everyone. So, the 12th house is our foreign travel itself, and right away you will feel a restless feeling, because this is your subconscious mind house. Lord Shani is behind the moon, affecting your subconscious mind for 2.5 years. You will feel a strong feeling of restlessness. Yes, you will go into foreign lands. Many people really travel in this phase. They just go into all sorts of situations where they are on the move. It's a big thing. Why? Because Lord Shani's 10th aspect is on the 9th house of foreign land also. Philosophical travel, exploration. You feel that something is shifting, but you're not sure what. You're still unclear, but you feel that you are not happy where you are. A feeling of dissatisfaction becomes very profound. Who with? With your family. You feel that something is not right in your family circle. There can be disharmony in your family. You feel that your money situation is in a very bad way, and you really want to stabilize it. Your health becomes critical to you now. Not that you're going to have big things happen to you, but you become aware of the need to stabilize health issues. You become very health conscious in this phase of Sade Sati. You're going to absolutely think about, what should I be eating? Should I be exercising more? All of these things come into your consciousness strongly now. But the biggest point about all of this is there's a feeling of change, but you're not sure what's going to change. But the special aspect here is this 9th house aspect. This is a lucky house. It gives opportunities. You will find in this phase that more doors are opening up to you than you would expect in Sade Sati. Be careful what's going on here. Lord Shani is testing you. The 12th house phase, the first phase of the Sade Sati, is a testing time. Opportunities and temptations also will come into your sphere. Be very careful that you don't take the easy way about financial issues, that you are very ethical, that you are very moral. You'll be given all sorts of temptations depending on your personal planets in your 12th house to your moon also. It's all about Lord Shani is watching you now. He's testing you, and if you're not careful now, when Lord Shani goes over your moon, boom, you're going to feel the results. So it's a warning to you to, yes, opportunities will come, foreign travel will be there, a feeling of movement, and all sorts of opportunities open up in your mind, all sorts of possibilities. But be careful that you do only things which are moral and ethical in this time. If you do that, it's absolutely fine. Philosophical aspects are very good for you now. A turning inwards is very good also. What you will also find is workplace issues come to the fore and conflicts come up there as well. So everyone, we then go into the moon conjunction phase, or the peak Sade Sati middle phase, 2.5 years. What's going to happen? First of all, it's not just the Saturn conjunct the moon that you have to focus on. Yes, there will be events in your life often then, but this is not Western astrology. So astrologers who say Sade Sati is just Saturn conjunct the moon forget about the other 5 years or whatever. It's definitely not true. Sade Sati is a process, and you feel the intensity all the way through. And indeed, events are linked strongly in all three phases. So let's not go down that route. That's the Western astrology Saturn conjunct moon. You see, Saturn will have a hard aspect to our moon every 7 years, and we will feel this feeling of depression, low mood, anxiety, and domestic issues, work issues. Every 7 years we get that intensity. But this is different, everybody. This is in the middle of Sade Sati. It's a part of a 7.5 year process of transformation. So with that in mind, how will you experience it? Well, as I say, your mind becomes heavy, your mind becomes depressed. You become critical in this phase. Watch for the criticism to other people, very strong, siblings, workplace. You are dissatisfied with siblings, spouse, workplace. Sometimes all of these issues for some of you, or sometimes some of them are more focused depending on your chart. But the main thing is to hone down the criticism, to hone down. Sometimes it gets turned into yourself and you become self-critical and become hard on yourself. So we have to try to find moderation. But here's the thing. You'll be tempted to make huge changes now, but you won't be able to. Again, Saturn is putting those blinkers on you now, full on. You've just got to keep looking ahead. So even if in your workplace you are dealing with really difficult superiors and difficult work colleagues, keep on going. If your spousal relationship is becoming a little bit heavy now, again, as much as you can, there are always different circumstances, then you have to keep on trying. And the same for sibling issues. Don't forget, Saturn is about doing one's duty. Things will ease up over time. Very important, I've often seen, is Saturn on the moon makes you turn inwards and become a little bit secretive sometimes. Try to be open with other people. If you get advice from other people too, second opinion, always good in Sade Sati, because sometimes you don't get good advice. If you are younger, be very cautious of bad company and being around people who are not having your best interests at heart. So it's a heavy phase, and yes, there can be loss in this phase for some people, but not all. There can be legal difficulties, and there is a real feeling that you're bearing this burden on your own. So don't be afraid to reach out to other people. There are people there to help you. Reach out and be vulnerable. That's perfectly good in this phase. But the most important thing is to put all of the good remedies I've actually got on this video for you into play and stay calm and focused in this phase. So everybody, the final phase of Sade Sati arrives when Saturn goes in the second house from your moon. Now there are different experiences here. It can be quite extreme. Some people have a complete resurrection in this phase. All depends on many factors. Moon sign is just one factor. Also planets in your chart. And you will see this happening, that you feel more confident, more sure, but you're still cautious. Caution is always there. For other people, it's an intense time of family conflict and concern. But for everybody, doesn't matter how you are experiencing this phase, you will have financial issues. The second house is about stabilizing finances, because soon enough you'll be going into Saturn third from your moon, which is a brand new phase, a new beginning in all quarters of your life. So to prepare for that, you have to be secure financially. So this will include stabilizing domestic issues, which become critical. And some of you indeed move in this phase. Business issues, wills, legacies, and all of these sort of factors become predominant, and indeed your own assets. Some people have a wage increase and some people have to take a wage decrease. Either way, the emphasis is on finances and stability. The other thing is that deep down you are feeling that there's new doors opening to you soon. You get the feeling that you're coming to the end of the road and there's a new turning ahead. You feel that there's a crossroads ahead, and you're so right, because when Lord Shani goes into your third house, you will have more choice about what you want to do with your life. So I hope that was a useful analysis for you all of the three phases of Sade Sati. But you should also know that there are 3 times in your life when you can actually experience this important Saturn transit. So, understanding Sade Sati differences during the lifespan, the 3 possible Sade Satis we could experience, is very important indeed. Childhood Sade Sati means under 16, because when we are under the age of 16, according to Shastra, we are not responsible for our karmas. Our parents take our karmas, okay? When we are adults, though, over 16, we are responsible for all of our actions, and late adulthood is 60 plus, because that's the earliest that we could have a Sade Sati, a third Sade Sati. So, childhood Sade Sati, everything I've said on this video doesn't apply, because those are your parents or your family's karmas, and you just have to live through them, and that's it. That's that Sade Sati. Adulthood, though, when you are over 16, experiencing Sade Sati, it's very important. That's the Sade Sati of your maturity. That is the Sade Sati that brings into play the very important material side of Lord Shani's Sade Sati that I've talked about on the video. Spiritual too for many people, but the material side becomes predominant. This can make or break your career. This changes relationships. It's a crossroads. It's a turning point in your whole life pattern. Late adulthood, though, people become scared of this because there is a myth that childhood is going to be a grandparent's death, adulthood, your parents' death, and late adulthood, Sade Sati, you die. But let me be honest, everyone, I have many family members, I'm sure you do too, who have lived through their third Sade Sati, and they are most definitely still alive and doing fine. I don't know what they've experienced in their minds, but you see, we can lose our grandparents during our childhood, and it's not to do with Sade Sati, and parents in our adulthood too. Okay, so let's not get too afraid of this and be scared of Sade Sati unnecessarily. As I say, when we lose people in our life, it's just the time for that to happen. Okay? Sade Sati in late adulthood can be a great boon, though. If you are fortunate, and it is a blessing to have Sade Sati in your 60s and 70s, when your mind is still bright. Why? Because Sade Sati's second aspect of spiritual development comes to the fore. So late adulthood makes you remove the veil of Maya far easier then. 60s and 70s, you really see the reality of the material world. Okay, so for many people, this is a spiritually uplifting, beneficial Sade Sati. For some adults in late adulthood, they could become very depressed in their late adulthood Sade Sati if they can't take the spiritual side. The removal of the veil of Maya is going to happen. But if you don't take spiritual development, it can leave you in a void. That's a negative factor there for late adulthood. So I hope that was helpful for you all in dispelling a myth at the very least. Now, Very important. Let's consider remedies because Sade Sati does bring up fear for everybody, any stage of Sade Sati, and remedies are definitely what we need. So everyone, I have 4 remedies to offer to you on this video. And before I even start, can I just say traditional Saturn remedies are always good. Fasting on Saturdays, giving in charity to older people, vulnerable people, disabled people, helping animals in distress, feeding crows, whatever it is where we are giving and not asking, this is always beneficial. So, the first remedy I have to offer to you all is actually reading and contemplating the wisdom of Bhagavad Gita. In the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is in complete distress, fear, and confusion. And Shri Krishna, the Supreme Person, dispels his confusion and he puts on the blinkers of duty. In fact, Shri Krishna talks about Arjuna putting on blinkers in this way. So, this helps us to get into the right frame of mind to deal with the fears and confusions of Sade Sati. Secondly, there is a book called The Greatness of Saturn by Robert Svoboda, which I think is actually well known. If it's not, I will put the link below the video. In this book, there is a story of a king who went through the most horrific experiences during his Sade Sati, not to give us an idea of what we would experience, but to show us how to deal with these experiences. And actually, there is such a lot of wisdom in this book beyond just Sade Sati that I would absolutely highly recommend it. Thirdly, mantra is so important in Sade Sati. Any form of prayer meditation is absolutely necessary so that we can calm ourselves down and become focused. Particularly, I have found Maha mantra to be helpful. This is the Hare Krishna Maha mantra, which has the names of Hare, Krishna, and Ram. Why is it so helpful? Because the name of Krishna, Shri Krishna, is said in Shastra to be feared by fear personified, therefore actually removes fear so quickly and so easily from our mind. Again, I will post that mantra below. But of course, any mantra which you find soothing is good, including Shani mantra. Finally, but not least, the story of Cinderella. Contemplating what happened to Cinderella is useful to us. Cinderella was certainly going through a Sade Sati period plus. I mean, she must have had a really difficult Mahadasha as well. What had happened to Cinderella was that she had lost parents, had gone to live with 3 stepsisters who treated her in an abominable way. She was like a slave in the kitchens, absolutely living in rags and doing nothing but servile duties every day, menial duties, serving the sisters. They were very cruel and horrible to her. They never gave her a moment to rest. Night and day she was working with no reward, hardly any food, hidden in the kitchen out of sight. Why? Because she was covered in soot from all of the fireplaces she was cleaning. She was up at the crack of dawn and doing all these menial tasks. She had no life at all. She was a prisoner. But the moral is, what did she do in this terrible situation where she was so miserable? Did she say, I hate you guys, to the sisters and plan her escape? Maybe amass a stockpile of weapons and, like Terminator 3 or Terminator Cinderella, get her way out of there by blasting the sisters to smithereens. Sorry, guys, getting carried away with the Mars of it all. I've got Mars in Aries, so yeah. Well, did she do that? Did she do that? I mean, wouldn't it have been a great story for cinema in this age if she'd been that freedom fighter? She didn't do that. Why? Because if she had taken that attitude, I hate you guys, and and made herself escape in some exciting way and make a good film, but she'd have amassed a stockpile of karma. She might have met her prince, but would it have been the same result? No. She'd have had to face those karma. She couldn't have lived happily ever after. You see, what's the moral here? These Mars-like actions, that we are all so tempted to. What I've talked about on the video, haven't I? Anger, intolerance, impatience, that we all have these in Sade Sati, are no use to us. Unlike our June, who is using violence in a righteous war, when we try to use violence in this age of Kali just for our own well-being. Now, I'm not saying that you should stay in an abusive situation, for goodness sake. It's just a furry story. But the moral is, of course, that what did Cinders do? Cinderella was tolerant, patient. She didn't say a harsh word about her sisters. She did her duty every day. She never complained, despite the despicable situation. And what happened? The fairy godmother appeared, waved her wand, took her to the ball. She met her prince, became rich, and so happy. Lived happily ever after. The moral is to take these good values, and in time, you don't have to lift a finger. The way out of our predicaments come very easily in that way. So it's a marvelous actual contemplation, I personally think, for Sade Sati. So just before I go through every moon sign for you and show you differences in each sign, can I just say thanks for watching the video, and post below if you have any particular questions about Sade Sati that I've not answered in the video so far. So for Aries moon sign, how is Sade Sati going to be different? First of all, Aries, like Scorpio, is Mars-led, and therefore your very way of being in the world is at odds with Lord Shani's requirements at this time. You want impulsive action, you enjoy challenge, you enjoy risk. But all of these things, you're going to have to contain them. The first phase, however, of Sade Sati, you won't be contained at all. When Saturn is behind your moon in Pisces, my goodness, you'll be in a very how can I say, strange place, because you'll be finding all sorts of new interests, new ideas, maybe spiritual ideas, lots of foreign travel, lots of exotic temptations. You'll just be inundated by new thoughts of what you could do with your life. You'll be a bit taken by surprise. You'll be a bit destabilized by it. Aries, try to contain these influences, okay? Because Jupiter ruling this house is actually a good planet for you in many ways. He's your 9th house lord. And so you won't be able to contain the opportunities to be on the move. Restlessness overtakes you, and you just want to make a lot of changes fast and to turn around your life overnight. You've got to hold tight, because when Lord Shani goes into your moon sign, you're going to find that a lot of these were just pure fantasy. So be careful about major changes now, particularly foreign related changes. Okay, now your own chart might have beneficial aspects onto your 12th house, but on the whole, it's a restless phase which is taking you into an unsteady place. Okay, but it's great for spiritual pursuits. It's a fantastic time for spiritual insights, for new gurus, for new endeavors, meditation, etc. You will gain enormous benefit spiritually if you are steady with those. Middle phase, you come under the restraint of Lord Shani now. And it's tough. It's tough because your Mars energy is just ill at ease with this, okay? Now, Moon is your 4th house, so education concerns can be difficult for you. Family concerns, maybe for some of you mother issues, maybe for some of you domestic issues become very pronounced now. So you have to contain yourself, and you have to find a way to focus your mind in this time. Final phase is the better phase for you of all the phases. Shani in an earth sign calms things down now. What you tend to find in this final phase, Aries, is that you really want to get things sorted now. You're desperate to get things sorted. So you're putting your nose to the grindstone in this phase. Whereas you were buckling at the trend before, now you're more determined to just move things through and sort things out. Particularly family issues will become very trying. There may be all sorts of joint finances also that you have to sort out. There may be relationship issues also, because Venus is your seventh and your second house lord. So it's still an unsteady phase, because all of Sade Sati is buckling against your inner self, your Mars-led moon. But still, you are falling on your feet now, and you're feeling much more capable, most of you. Now, for Taurus Moon, Moon in Taurus is well placed, so you would think that you would do well in Sade Sati. Now, I want to avoid this point of some signs do well, other signs don't do well, because this is actually not the point. The point is that everybody has to face their karmas, but that you, in this case, you buckle down to responsibility, you buckle down to duty well. So in that sense, Sade Sati becomes easier in exactly what Lord Shani requires of you, Taurus Moon. That's the blessing. But the first phase of Sade Sati, when Saturn is in Aries, is disturbing. It's most disturbing. You'll feel that the whole karma of your life has been uprooted, and you feel like the ground has been pulled underneath you. Some of you, again, other planets in your chart make a difference if they are aspecting this house. You become full of desires. As I've said, watch for temptations during that phase. Watch people in your life. If you are young, avoid bad company. It's going to be all around you. Venus and Mars, you see, because you are Venus ruled and this is Mars, your 12th house. So Venus and Mars is sexual desire also. So all sorts of situations arise. The purpose is Shani is testing you now. So stay true, stay dutiful, enjoy foreign travel. It will be there, a changing scene, but whether you will actually get as much as you would like out of that foreign travel, it's probably not going to happen, because Shani is not happy in this sign of Aries. He's agitated in the sign of Mars. He wants things to be steady and true and purposeful, and Mars just wants to take action. So there's a conflict in your mind. It's a disturbing time, the first phase. Second phase, yes, all of the aspects I've been talking about on the video will occur, but you'll be steady mostly. You'll be able to take responsibility. Third phase, though, becomes a bit iffy for your financial situation because of the Mercury aspect here, the duality of this second house. So watch for the unexpected events in this last phase. Things may seem to have calmed down, but they might not have. So stay your steady, dutiful self, Taurus Moon. That's the best way through Sade Sati. For Gemini Moon, Gemini is a very adaptable sign, and you would think that this would be good for Sade Sati. It is in some ways. You're very adaptable, you go with changing circumstances well. That's a positive side. Negative side is that you don't like the blinkered thing. You don't like that your life has narrowed down, and it will narrow down. You'll be forced to focus all the things I've been talking about on this video. So first phase, though, is normally quite a relaxed time for you, although there will be definite financial concerns. In fact, the whole of Sade Sati for your moon sign is very much about finances, because the moon is your second house lord. So finances and family concerns, they start in this first phase when Saturn is behind your moon. But it's a good phase in a way, because Saturn is strong in this earth sign. It's more stabilized, so there'll be lots of moving around, lots of travel, which you enjoy, and there could be lots of temptations too. Have a check what I've been talking about in regard to that. The main phase, though, is when the real financial concerns come heavy and the family issues become strong. So you've got to try to stay calm and focused, even if you find it a real constraint. Okay, it's just something which you have to do, because you will actually Very often, Gemini gains skills. Because you are a skill-based person, you may find that you actually go into education during this Sade Sati time, and you gain enormous skills. So patience is required. Very last phase, though, is where it really comes home, because that's the Cancer phase when Saturn is not at home in this Cancer sign. So that's a time when you really have to be careful of your emotions. Your emotions become unrestrained. You are really starting to buckle against a trend. Stay calm. You are nearly there. So if you have Cancer Moon, what's going to happen in Sade Sati then? First of all, your moon is a very strong moon. Don't forget that. Cancer moon is extremely strong. Cancer is the sign of the moon. So the moon is at home and safe. You like to feel safe and secure. You're a money magnet. You deal well with your money issues. So the most difficult phase, despite all of the ups and downs in the middle phase, and they will be really up and down, is the last phase, and I'll be coming to that. You start Sade Sati on a very interesting, sort of note, because new people are in your life. You're on the move a lot, as many people are, and you love travel so much that you're probably having an exciting time in your first phase. Be careful. Have a note of all the things I've already said about Saturn in the 12th house, because that is absolutely going to impact you. But after that phase, Saturn, who is the lord of your 7th house of relationships and unexpected events and finances, comes into your Cancer moon sign. This is the most difficult phase in terms of events, because there's so much pressure from relationships, from other people, from maybe things like inheritances and wills. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have deaths, by the way. Many other aspects have to be there, but there's a shifting family atmosphere for sure. And there is a sense of leaving the past behind. And for Cancer Moon, you're so attached to your past. This is going to be a very emotional time for you, this 2.5 years, and it won't be easy. So it's all about staying calm. You become a source of comfort for other people in this phase as well. Last phase, as I said, because Saturn is not well in Leo, doesn't do well there, more family issues, more financial issues come to the fore, and they become very entrenched because Saturn is in a fixed sign. There doesn't seem to be easy solutions now. So staying patient and staying focused and calm is important for you in this last phase. So for Leo Moon, without doubt, the last phase is the best phase of Sade Sati for this moon sign. You're a very fixed and determined person, and these are good qualities that will put you in good stead. The minus is that you tend to push. You tend to push for things that you would like to happen. You have to constrain that in Sade Sati, as I've been talking about on this video. First phase is very challenging because of the Cancer Shani, and it really does make you feel so restless and determined to change your life. You be feeling such an urge to make a big change. Be very cautious in this phase. It's not a phase for that sort of major change if you can avoid it. Middle phase becomes very hard. There can be loss, there can be feelings of being, having a real burden on you, real responsibility here that makes you feel low. Stay determined. You're going to come through this last phase. Resurrection for you, most Leos, because Saturn is in an earth sign, stabilized. You're able to stabilize financial issues now that have been really challenging the last 5 years, and stabilize family concerns also. So for Virgo moon sign, just like for Leo, the final phase of Sade Sati is your definite best phase. In fact, it's enormously good because you are able to bring things to a feeling of organization again, because a disorganization is something, Virgo Moon, that you don't like. In Sade Sati, you're a very down-to-earth person. You are very adaptable. All this is good, but your life becomes a little bit chaotic in the first phase here, okay? Because Leo is a fixed sign and Saturn is not happy there, okay? He's your sixth house lord and he's in this opposite house here. There can be health issues. There can be a feeling of being stuck because Leo is a fixed sign, of not being able to move things on as you would like to. You need enormous patience in this first phase. Second phase, of course, is the main peak phase with the moon aspects there. Main thing is, moon is your 11th lord, so financial issues and everything about wages and earning is coming under real restraint now. You have to be patient. It feels like all of your desires and all your plans have come to a halt. Stay calm. Last phase, resurrection for you, because Libra is exaltation sign for Lord Shani. So it's not the end of Sade Sati. Have a check of what I've already said about this last phase, but you will be able to gather strength, Virgo, in this last phase and finally, slowly sort out all of these concerns, particularly financial concerns will go far better for you in this last phase, and family concerns also. Now for Libra moon sign, there you are, Libra moon sign. This is a really important time for your career because the moon is your 10th house lord. So you tend to take big decisions about your career during Sade Sati, but very often you leave it until the last phase. I've seen this because that's when things become most difficult for you. So you have to wait and try to do your best in all of your duty and responsibility, as I've been discussing. But Sade Sati has a big impact on your career. Family, as of course, also, and that's because moon is always home and family. Now, first phase is choppy for you. You've got a huge restlessness with this Virgo Saturn, but you probably won't feel it as acutely, but you will feel that you want to make changes but you're unsure. That's probably good that you don't, because you'll probably make wrong decisions. Be really careful, as I've talked about when you start Sade Sati. Be responsible, particularly with your money. Try to save as much as you can. That's going to help you. Middle phase, you feel the pressure enormously. Workplace stress becomes really heavy and you feel like throwing in the towel. You really feel like you can't take any more. Stay calm and see how things pan out for you. Don't make rash decisions. Always in Sade Sati. Final phase, you make financial decisions now. If you have to make a workplace change, you'll probably do it in this last phase. You are going to have to cut back in your finances. You're going to have to make a real sacrifice. But in the end, because it's a fixed sign, things will at the very least stabilize for you. But it is a struggle in this last phase. So for Scorpio moon, just like Aries moon, watch out for your impatience and your anger. It's your worst enemy, particularly in the middle phase. The middle 2.5 years when Saturn is in your moon sign is your most difficult and challenging time. The first phase doesn't even seem like Sade Sati for some of you. Romantic opportunities, foreign travel, all sorts of doors are opening up to you career-wise also. Different people, exciting people coming into your sphere. Be cautious. Take a note of all the things I've already said about temptations in this phase. Middle phase, you feel the pressure. Doors are closing a little bit now and you may be taken by surprise. Family issues, domestic issues, sometimes mother issues, but most importantly, you feel that you are not being supported as you were before. You are thrown back on yourself. Stay strong and stay stable. last phase for you gives change and gives opportunity, because Jupiter is a good planet for you. So you actually find financial opportunities, stabilization, and some relief in this last phase of Sade Sati. So for Sagittarius Moon now, what's going to happen? First of all, the moon is the ruler of your 8th house of sudden events, financial concerns, business matters, and so on. So these will be impacted strongly in the middle phase of Sade Sati. But the most difficult phase, in some ways, although it may not seem at the time, is the first phase of Sade Sati, where Saturn is in Scorpio in a difficult Mars position. So you will feel very challenged in this phase. You will feel that all sorts of new desires, new temptations come into your life, as I've already described in the middle of the video, but they'll become very, very obvious. And you are a person who is very much into foreign travel and new opportunities. So you'll be very tempted by all of these doors opening to you. But if you use a little bit of caution, common sense, just be very careful to suss everything out. And people in your life, make sure they have your best interests at heart. If you do that, because you are a very intuitive person, Sagittarius Moon, and you see through people well. So as long as you do that, everything will be okay. But a very restless and up and down phase, that first phase. Second phase of Sade Sati now, this is where the sudden events and the disturbances come into your mind as well. And you really are buckling against this need to focus, just like Gemini Moon. You don't like to focus your life so much. You feel very constrained in this middle phase. You want to move, you want to change, but things keep on coming up out of the blue, and your financial situation becomes very stressed. You really have to be financially cautious, in particular in this middle phase. And all sorts of financial concerns from marriage and business become fraught. So caution and staying put as much as you can, even though you're a very restless moon sign, is probably going to help you most now. Last phase, though, is your fortunate phase of Sade Sati, because at last Saturn is in his own sign and strong. It's fortunate, but it won't be easy, because again, there's huge financial responsibility now and the need to put enormous effort into those financial affairs, as I've already discussed on this video. But Sagittarius Moon, it's your best phase, because things seem under control. All of those unexpected events are now managed for you. So for Capricorn Moon, Saturn is your 7th house lord. So the whole of Sade Sati, all of this time is about finding satisfaction in your relationships more than anything. But because you are a very down to earth and Saturnian person who can take restraint in your life and duty in your life, it normally works out well for you. But the first phase is always disturbing. So you have to watch out for the first 2.5 years, Capricorn Moon, because your subconscious mind is going to be flooded with fantasies and ideas of how to make a change in your life. In fact, you're not yourself in this first 2.5 years. You're feeling restless, which you don't normally feel. You're feeling on edge and you're feeling nervous, like you want to make a change, but you're not sure. Hold tight and don't take a risk. It's a very risky time for a major move. So really, it's the best time for maybe planning and sussing out things and seeing what the possibilities are. But for any major move, it's not the best time. Check out also what I've said about temptations in this phase. They will be there also. But as soon as Saturn goes home into his own sign with your moon, you become very focused indeed. It's as though you have a complete personality change from the first phase. Now you are very much about work, work, work. You're work focused in a very obvious way. And this is, of course, very favorable for Sade Sati because you've got the blinkers on 100% and you're enjoying it. What you're doing is you're becoming very fussy about other people in your life. That's your seventh house Lord Moon. So therefore, you're cutting off relationships which do not serve you now. You are absolutely determined to have satisfactory relationships and you are taking action. In a way, the negative side of this middle phase is that you turn inwards too much and you cut yourself off from all society almost and all social life and absolutely become a workaholic. So you have to give yourself some relaxation in this phase. But if you are in a relationship now, it's going to become a little bit strained. There's going to be a lot of pressure on you and you're not prepared to take it now. You're becoming much more self-contained. So there may be some issues in some relationships. But for many of you, it's a consolidation time in relationships. And you can make them work very well for you in a very practical, down-to-earth way. Final phase is your best phase though, because in the middle phase, it was a very contained phase where you were just focusing 100% on the issues at hand. Final phase though, you can take off with your new plans. This is Saturn's Moon Tricone sign, Aquarius. So financial issues are sorted now. If there are any family concerns, any concerns about finances and joint finances, you will sort them in your favor. Be patient as you always are and things will work out fine. You'll be feeling a big feeling of satisfaction in this final Sade Sati phase. So for Aquarius Moon rules your sixth house of health and conflict. So you have to be very cautious with health concerns, taking care of your diet, exercise, and all those things. And always have second opinion, as I've said, with health concerns. But the biggest issue is very often conflicts and litigation. They're going to be a big part of this Sade Sati and they may take you by surprise. In the first phase, Capricorn, you're very focused. You've got the blinkers of Sade Sati on right away the moment Saturn enters your 12th house from your moon. Immediately that first 2.5 year begins, you've got the blinkers on. So whereas other people are very spacey in this phase and very unsure, you have got a plan, 100% a plan, and you're going ahead with it. Be careful that you don't upset other people though with this type of focus, because you've got to be careful of who you're upsetting in this phase here, because in the next phase it's going to be very obvious. In the middle phase, conflicts come out into the open now. There may be litigation, there may be legal issues to be sorted. But the good news is Saturn is in his Multricone sign. So even if you have a tremendous hassle, you will sort them out in the end. And final phase is your most tricky phase though. You might be unprepared because you've sorted things out and all of a sudden things slip out of your grasp. You're feeling very unsure in this last 2.5 years. So this is a time for all the remedies, big time now. Staying calm, staying focused on all the work which you've already accomplished, and things will be fine for you. So Pisces Moon, you're very emotional like Scorpio and Cancer. So when Saturn goes over your moon, you feel it and it's a very sensitive time for you. So all the remedies, start them as soon as Sade Sati starts. But actually, the strange thing is Sade Sati starts on a very sound note for Pisces. It's the best phase. Why? Because Saturn is Multricone now in Aquarius and he's your 11th house lord also. So you actually gain enormous security in this first phase. You gain good friends, even a good new relationship for some of you that stays with you all the way through Sade Sati. So these new people in your life are good for you. So whereas many people have difficult influences now, you have sound, reliable influences. And financially, you sort out things and you may be on the move, as many people are, but in your case, it's to a dream destination because it's your 11th house lord. So a very favorable start. And then Saturn goes into your moon sign where things become unsteady. In the middle phase, Saturn in a water sign, you can't find the ground under your feet. If you're in education, that's because the moon is your 5th house lord. Watch for a lot of destabilizing influences there and stay calm at all times. Unexpected family events, unexpected expenses, expect those. And there may be legal aspects which are very hard to deal with for some of you too sometimes. But it's a choppy phase, so you need to stay focused, as I've been saying on the video. But most of all, spirituality helps you and all the remedies help you in this phase. Final phase, though, is actually your most tricky phase because Saturn is now in Aries where he's not happy. You become impulsive and fraught in this phase. You absolutely want to move things on and to maybe take a risk, avoid it. Avoid risky behavior. And also travel isn't as good for you here because it's your 9th house lord. So you may feel like you want to travel a lot, but it won't go as well as in the first phase. So staying calm and focused in this last phase is important. It's not a resurrection phase. It's a time for steadiness and calm and avoiding risk. That's the main thing. But soon enough, Saturn goes into Taurus and things stabilize with fantastic opportunities for you. Okay everyone, I hope that was a useful video for you all and gave you good information. Sub below if you are new to my channel. Coming up soon, the Saturn return transit. Goodbye for now and God bless everyone.